news networks are not even getting clicks like that. So this shows like there's an opportunity for this, what we're doing here on this show. Really interesting story.
Y'all see my picture? Y'all see my little picture? Anything anymore. If you really were to look, into further in depth and about what they're about, you can find it without an issue, and it does come with sacrifices. It comes with things that you may have to
Look,
give up.
JT, look, you sitting there.
Things that
Yeah, I
you
see
may
you.
have to let go in order to get where you want to be. And I feel, this is my opinion. This is not, I don't have any, no one's backing me up with what I'm saying. This is simply my opinion. You guys don't come at me. Okay. But this is, they set certain ground rules for what they expect from their Masons in order to get what their Masons want out of them. Now, a lot of people tend to talk about the Illuminati and how they operate. Now, there's a lot of speculation as to whether or not they're real or not. And just to confirm that, they're very real. They're very real, and they will tell you that they're very real. Okay, so we as Black people, as Black rap connoisseurs, we all know, we know the best rappers alive and all that stuff and whatever. And if you ever see your rapper go like this,
yo,
okay,
Jay-Z did.
Right there is a clear sign of what he's dealing with. And that does have to do with the I word. We're going to watch what we say here. The I word, along with the Masonry as well. Because if you do look at the Masonry sign, it has the same sign with a G in the middle of it, does it not?
Right.
Yes, it does. Okay, now the G representing in the middle, I'm not going to speak on because I don't have the exact words that I want to say in regards to. I know in my heart about what it is, but I don't know how to explain it. So I'm not going to speak on that per se right now. But as far as the Illuminati, it's very real. In order to get where you want to be in the industry, you definitely have to sacrifice some things. Oh God. I don't know if I should be saying certain things, but we can all kind of look back.
Go ahead. You want to make comments?
Yeah, man. Cause there's a lot of mistaken thoughts of it because of what it has become in this day and age. But I see masonry and Freemasonry as two different things. And masonry is mostly like civilization builders, people who have laid the groundwork for people to have you know you know like how we identify different things, like we have our sciences, we have the math, law, writing, what I'm saying, all these different things. But it's sacred geometry. That's what the symbol that because it's not really because you can use a pyramid, but the pyramid was created based on that contractor and the square, that the measuring tools. uh the G is for geometry. That's in the middle of that symbol. It's the sacred sciences, or Moorish science, as you may hear from in other places. So each one of us is a Mason to some degree, because at the least you were born of a mother. You are Ma's son. You are Ma's son. So that's where the original thing came from, but a lot of it was tainted, and some of the things that we would have been taught in the temples and the mosques and things of the early days became hidden and secret because this was the knowledge that some people used to rule over us because we didn't understand, and now we look at these people as higher beings because they just know so much, but all the groundwork had been done that they pretty much were found and held secret, where you know we're getting ruled over the same kind of stuff nowadays. So um
Yeah.
rappers have made it spooky now with all this other kind of stuff, but it's all because they can do stuff like that because you don't know. But
Yeah. So let me ask JT and Deuce, cause Pat's all factual and academic over here. What do y'all think about the Illuminati and Jay Z and sacrifices and stuff? Pat's all telling the actual whatever. What do y'all think? What do y'all think about it? Yeah, so I can't argue with nothing that Pat said. What do y'all think about it?
Oh man, to be honest with you, I don't know that that shit even exists. I think it's something to keep people talking. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, for me, when it comes down to it, they're always putting black artists or black actors or actresses. Oh, they're a part of this secret society. They're a part of the Illuminati. They had to sacrifice this. It's like, what the fuck? Could they
It,
not just obtain what they got because of their
it's a
their true
jealousy,
talent,
and
their
that comes
true
from the
talents?
a lot of
You
that
know
comes
what
from
I'm
the black
saying?
community. I think it comes from it's a jealousy demon. It's a jealousy
You
evil.
don't ever hear them saying, "Oh, uh, Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt or George Clooney, oh, they're a part of the Illuminati." It's always plagued to put on black people. You know what I'm saying? Tyler Perry,
s-
Oprah Winfrey,
some
all
of
of
some
these
of them use the
motherfuckers.
symbolism though. You got
Yeah,
when they use the three sixes. I mean, what? No, the OK sign. You got your thumb and your pointer finger together, and you got your other three sticking out. Where they saying that means 666.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
I don't
people.
know, bro. I don't get into that shit. I couldn't tell you if that shit is real or not, bro.
Well,
You know.
I-
I mean, I
well,
know masonry is real, Freemasons and all, but that Busale shit, all that shit, this is a cult, and they turning these dudes out, and they sacrificing, and they walking through this door, and that's how they earn their success. And I don't know, bro.
I bet there's some crazy shit be happening at some of them parties though.
oh
I mean, it
Uh,
yeah,
probably is,
I'm,
bro.
I'm I'm sure I've never been in one, but I can tell you that there's a lot of the ritual stuff that does go on. Um, you know, though there's some people who probably do some really fucked up stuff just to be a part, but that lets you know just how unlearned they are, and they're the subjects of whoever brought them in. They belong to those entities, but the more knowledge, because it's all about knowledge. A lot of them they don't allow to get past. Like a lot of them, I don't know if it even gets to the 33 degrees, and you know the whole thing
33
So
is
it does.
dudes.
So it does exist, is what you essentially saying? The shit of
oh
these celebrities that they're doing. It's a
hmm
it's a cult that they're in. Okay.
uh yeah, I would say to some extent, if you want to call it cult, because I mean cult is just like the root word of culture. Like this is something that they put together. You can consider anything a cult. Like what we're doing here on this show, we can call it a cult. Like we're creating culture. But
Well, I think Deuce
uh
think you saying that Illuminati is real. He's not saying Illuminati is real.
well, I mean,
He's
Well, I'm gonna say the Illuminati is real, but it's not all the shit that they try to make it out to be because Illuminati is just saying the illuminated one, someone who's under the big lights,
Right.
somebody, like
Right.
when you really look at it, because I mean, it's just really how how you perceive it, because that's the biggest problem. Yeah, there is an Illuminati. These are the people that they put up in front of you to make you think that they're something special. And I mean, whether they are or they're not, they have been illuminated by either, their group or by us. We illuminate a lot of them, giving them, more power, or, giving them a certain level of love that, they deserve or don't deserve. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I say all of this stuff is real. The just maybe not to the extent that they've been, some people have made it out to be. But those degrees, if you look at, because all of it, like when you really can break it down from a science perspective, you can kind of tell. Uh, if you look at like when you get your first degree, your diploma, what kind of hat they have you wear? They have that little somewhat kind of like cone hat with the square at the top. Well, a square is 360 degrees. So is a circle. The Moors wear those fezzes that have two levels of 360. The one that touches your head and the one that's at the top of the cone. It's another 360-degree, and that's just like full knowledge. And you know, you can look at it as 720 degrees. So I mean, it kind of goes deep, but it's not really that deep. You know what I'm saying? Because most of the stuff that you need to understand, you understand it. It may not have been broken down to you in the way for you to truly understand it.
So if
Yeah,
you making that, you setting the shit up for failure from jump.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. If you
yeah.
listen to that kind of shit, yeah, you just as bad as them.
Let me play this.
What I want you to do is educate the people a little bit about universal commercial code, uh, the law of the land, maritime law, straw man, birth certificate. Go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
We was eating
that was in
cherries.
1933. We had the market crash. Everything crashed. The banks, everything was the stocks. Everything was crashing. So uh, they needed a market. They needed a stock or something of value to use as collateral. So who was the best collateral? It was us. Human beings, flesh and blood,
Somebody's TV.
souls. That's what they needed. So they used us as collateral for the banks. And it's pretty much the banks could view you as how much you can make for the system, how much taxes you would pay, how much you would work and make. So you were pretty much valuable, as far as that. So they use us as collateral. We were the most valued as far as other than anything else, as far as value. Um, so they use us as collateral pretty much in a nutshell. So they use our birth certificates. They had numbers on the birth certificates that could be used in the stock markets. You could trace your numbers on the birth certificates to see how much value you had on the stock market. It was pretty much stock with the prisons. You know, they had us as prisoners were free labor or whatever you want to call it, and they made money with that.
Yeah. So explain the straw man.
Well, the straw man was pretty much they created a separate identity of you. You had the flesh and blood you, and you had the paper U. The paper U was your social security, your birth certificate, uh, driver license number, anything else, and that was pretty much another separate identity of you that was identical to you, but that wasn't was you. That and pretty much they created a corporation out of that was separate from you because it said that a corporation can only do business with a corporation.
Right.
So they created a corporation that was not flesh and blood, that was a paperwork identity, separate identity or a twin of you that you thought was you, other than the flesh and blood you, that was the paperwork you. And that's what they do business with. The paperwork you, not the flesh and blood you. So
So, Pat, I'm sure you can clean that up a bit. Would you comments on that?
Yeah, I was just thinking like when you go to court for something, they're not really trying to penalize you, the person, the human being. They're really trying to, they're finding that there's a way for them to get the money out of that your corporation, which is named after you. But there is I mean, because it's man, it's really a lot to it where we've been talking recently about controlling your affairs through other entities through LLCs, and that way it kind of separates your name, that identity of that a corporation that they created of you, and you handle your business through a corporation that you create for you or whatever. So but yeah, I mean, he's got pretty much all of it down because of course the crash happened in 29, and then to recoup 1929, then to recoup from it by the year 1933. Yes, they did they had created the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve came up with fiat currency because that's when they ended the gold and silver standards, where it's they had dollars that really that looked the same, but it had gold or silver certificates on it. Then they switched to the reserve, where you got debt notes. These are Federal Reserve notes, which really has no value until they attach it to the energy of our country, which is you and I, the human beings that actually make the world turn. So he pretty much got all of that stuff down. Like he said most of it. I mean, if there's some other questions that
Well, let me play a little bit more of the clip. I think he breaks it down a bit more. I think.
That's why your name be in all caps on everything that they.
exactly. Just like when somebody dies and they get buried and they have on the tombstone corpse, that's short for corporation. And so they created a corporation of paperwork, from you, and that's what they do business with. And you think that that's you, so you agree to it.
well,
You
pause it.
sign on a dotted line.
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
yeah, all right. So that's where I would interject the whole idea about your birth, because when you were born, your parents birthed you, birth, and during the same time they're looking, based on their maritime law, they're looking at where you've come into the port, berth. You were
Hmm.
birthed, you're coming in, and you're attached to land. But at the same time, when your life is being recognized, they're also turning around and giving you a death at the same time at sea. So pretty much as though you never really made it you're from the time you were born. They're saying that you're lost at sea. So they're using this whole thing where if you never really reclaim yourself as being a real live human being, you're dead at sea. And that corporation, yes, it can still operate with you here or not. So if you come in to, like, most people use it in the terms of court. You go into court, they've used, like he was saying, the none of us write our names in full caps, in capital letters. It's usually a cap. We use it in proper noun form, capital first letter, and then the rest of them are lowercase. With that, they're trying to extort or get money from the entity that's named after you, but it's not really you. So, like, if you understand it enough, you can actually go into court and represent that corporation to where that the liability or charges are limited or extinguished based on how you present that case. So for the corporation, so you got to kind of separate yourself in different these, because even with a speeding ticket, even though you were the one that was speeding, but you went into court. They're not trying to, you know, vicariously. They are trying to get money out of you, the human person, but it's that entity that they're charging. So it's
And
it's, it's something to kind of study. It's something to really
I
study
know
and
I've
understand.
I've done a bit of reading on it, so I understand the basics of it. But I really want to understand it more, and that's why I always bring up this particular topic whenever I'm around this particular guy. He got locked up when this is my cousin, when he was a teenager for an armed robbery case, and he sat down for a long time. And but anyways, they did some shit to him while he was in prison, and he it made him mad, and he wanted to do something. They wouldn't help him, so this dude went to the damn law library and read a whole bunch of books and did a suit. He sued them and he won. This dude was doing all his law paperwork himself and shit. So, and what was I gonna say? So yeah, so that universal, like the law of the land and law of the water, maritime law and all that shit. That's like what he's always talking about that shit. And because he did a good amount of studying on it, and I always try to get him to talk about that particular subject because I think that's his strong area.
Well, and see, and that's the thing. When you're a human being, you're operating under human rights, human law, the law of the land. But when you're into this formal government with them, you following their laws, you're really under, because truly they only have laws over the sea. So that's the whole reason why they have that structure of law. Um, because they can't really, like, what we call a judge is really a magistrate. There's somebody who, they're just handling the business of the bank. So uh those charges that's being brought up against you couldn't be brought up against you as a human being. They could only be brought up against you as a corporation. So that's why you got to really be careful how you identify yourself, because you walk in there and there's like, hey, you're being charged with such and such and such and such. Do you understand? My answer would be no, I do not. I don't understand. I do not stand under your, you know, your laws in any kind of way. I'm above your law.
So whenever they
But
say, "Do you understand?" I'm supposed to say no. The judge gonna get mad at me though.
yeah, he gonna get mad. He gonna get frustrated, and after he can't proceed past that, then what he's gonna do? He gonna maybe at the most maybe try to
Send me
stick
back
you
to the
with,
cell.
he maybe, you know or you present a good enough case why you don't understand, and why he needs to look at you as a different entity than the one that he's trying to sue.
I went down some rabbit holes with that shit. It's a guy. with the big beard. Who it's a lot of videos I'll be watching. Well, I used to watch years ago, and of him going into court and dealing with them and the language that he used, and that's why I'm really interested and I want to learn more about it because I know it's about the language, it's about the words
Hmm.
that he used.
Yeah. Um, legalese, but at the same time, like it's really a scam. Like every bit of that is a scam, and that's why it's good for people to uh, understand it as much as they can, because that's how people end up with freaking fines that you can't afford or that you really don't deserve to pay. Because I mean, you know, especially when you're talking about traffic tickets, you probably got violated on the road. Like just the fact that them stopping you was probably a violation to begin with. There's all kind of different things that you can bring to the attention of the court why they need to just you know find look, go get some money from somebody else and just leave me alone.
I want to play a little bit more of this clip and get your analysis, and then we're gonna move on.
Agree to this, agree to that. So you are the what do they call it? They call it the not co-signer, but it's kind of like a co-signer. Uh, so you're signing for this corporation that's you, that you think that's you, and so you're approving everything, and they can't do nothing without your signature,
Exactly.
whatever, you know.
Because you are the corporation.
You are the corporation, exactly.
So, but explain to them how relates to like the maritime law.
Oh, okay. So maritime law, you have the law of the land and you have the law of the ocean. And just like when you had slaves traveling through and on ships and stuff like that, maritime law is the law of the ocean. So that's why you have the birth canal, you have um you have the what is it? I'm gonna give you an example. The flow of money, that's
Currency,
maritime currency.
the bank
Yeah,
at the
exactly. Yeah, you have all of that, and it's based on, maritime law, which is the law of the ocean. That's why all these things are named after the things that goes on in the sea, because in the sea, uh, people have their ships coming through or whatever, and they don't abide by law state to state. So they had to create a maritime law to govern the oceans. And with the oceans, that's why you have the birth canal. That's why you have what is it? The flow of currency. You have all these things that relates to the ocean. Because if that's the in that case, uh, China wouldn't pay the USA, Europe wouldn't pay China, and Russia wouldn't pay the USA.
that's
If we didn't
what he's
have
saying
these
is
laws in place.
it trumps all other law.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why they created these laws to govern the law of the ocean,
Well,
and
it
that's
does
what
not.
we're really under. They say,
Go ahead.
Well, it doesn't trump other law because actually, law of the land is the highest order. But based on the jurisdictions that they have, that's the highest order of law they can enforce. So, the city and state, parish, county, those laws end up being, they kind of overrule any of that stuff. Like let's just say, like the federal law is based on the Constitution, which is law of the land. But a lot of these laws that's here that in the city and are within the state, because of the flow of traffic, or how, you know, if you want to use those different terms through the seas, or not, you know, you got a different constitution by each state. They pretty much can do things on their own. You know, they can almost pretty much make up some shit. So I just want to interject that it is not the highest order of law. It's just and this, you know, really is not truly law. Most times it's some kind of code or policy. Um, it's not real. It's not real law that they're enforcing. They're just really trying to get you to pull up to the bank, make a deposit, and they'll let you go regardless of how heinous the crime. So it's
Yeah,
overall it's a scam. The city court, state court, and you can pretty much get out of you can get out of pretty much anything if you can give them a better argument than they can give you.
Yeah, man. What I
that's
was
hot
saying,
shit
man.
right there,
You know what I'm
man.
saying? So what we gonna do? We gonna
We want you to be an activist, and don't take our word for it. Look that shit up. Pulley.